Hello everyone, my name is Priyanka Goswami, Assistant Professor of GL Bajaj Institute of Management Research, Greater Noida. Today we are going to discuss lecture number 11 and topic is organizing and staffing. In the previous lecture we have discussed what is organizing, what are the importance of organizing, and after that we have also studied that what types of organization like line organization and line and staff organization. And this slide on this PPT we are going to discuss organization structure, decentralization of authority, or we can say the departmentation. Today we are going to cover these topics. Number one is introduction of organization structure, types of organization structure, and decentralization of authority. Let's start with the organization structure introduction. An organizational structure is the group of rules, roles, relationships, and responsibility that outline how your company's activities are directed to meet its goal. Organization structure is a type of framework, or is a type of framework which is based on the rules, roles, relationship, and the responsibility which outline in the organization, and on the basis of that when organization make a structure or the hierarchical framework, that is called organization structure. That organization structure basically identifies that what are the formal relationship among the people. Who is the supervisor, who is the subordinate, who is the one who lead whole organization. So this kind of information we can basically get from this organization structure. It also governs the flow of information through the levels of the company and outline the reporting relationship among mid-level staff, senior management, executives, and owners. We can say that through this organization structure we can basically identify that how the information will flow. That means if the information needs to flow from top to bottom, that through which person that information will flow, and in the same way through organization structure we can also identify that which person will report to which person. So this kind of idea we can make from organization structure. It clarifies the formal relationship of individuals in the various positions within the organization. Through organization structure we can basically identify that what is the formal relationship among the people, like who is the supervisor, who is the subordinate, who is there who lead the whole department, who is the head of the department, right? So this kind of hierarchy or this kind of formal relationship we can identify through organizational hierarchy. Why do we need an organization structure? That means what is the importance? What is the importance of making organization structure or the hierarchy of the whole organization? It clarifies the responsibility of the members. Yes, through organization structure, or by seeing what is by seeing organization structure, the one can when identify that one can identify that who is for which responsibility who is responsible, right? So it basically clarifies the responsibility to the members. It frees the manager and the workers to concentrate on their respective roles and responsibility. As we know that organization structure clarifies the responsibility of the members, in the same way the manager and his subordinates can have the clarification in their mind that for this particular responsibility they are responsible. So obviously through organization structure they can be more clear and they can be more focused on their own responsibility rather than others. It coordinates all organization activity, so there is a minimal duplication of efforts conflicts. So we can say that organization structure basically helps the organization employees to avoid the duplication of efforts. Why? Because every employee in the organization knows that for what they are responsible. So obviously the duplication of efforts will not be exist in the organization if there is a clarity, if there is a transparency in the mind of employees for what they are responsible. So obviously duplication of efforts will not be there, or any kind of conflict may not arise in the organization if there is a organization structure. It avoids overlapping of functions. Yes, we can say that if people are very clear for this particular kind of responsibility, I am responsible. So obviously the other work the other person cannot give his own responsibility to the another member, right? So obviously the overlapping of function will not happen in the organization structure. Like if organization structure is there, if there is a whole framework of whole organization, and everyone is very clear that for what they are responsible, so obviously they can avoid this overlapping of functions. It helps to allocate organizational resources, and if we can say that if it is clarified in everyone's mind that for what they are responsible, so on the basis of their responsibility, manager will be convenient to allot the resources to the different people and or to the different department. So organization structure basically helps the manager to allocate the organizational resources to the different department or to the certain people. It establishes formal line of authority. Yes, through organization structure, the line of authority is very clear, that if the complaint, or if we can say if the suggestion if the suggestion has to go, if a suggestion has to give by the lower level people to the upper level people, so how it flows, that means through which person the suggestion will flow to the higher authority. So through organization structure, we can every people who exist in the organization will be clear that what will be the formal line of authority. Type of organization structure. If I talk about type of organization, there are three types of organization: functional, divisional and matrix structure. Let's start with the functional structure of an organization. The functional structure is based on the organization being divided into smaller groups with the specific tasks or the roles. Like in the functional organization or functional structure of an organization, when organization is divided on the basis of specialized or on the basis of specialization, or we can say on the basis of specific type of roles or tasks, that is functional structure of an organization. A functional organization is common type of organizational structure in which the organization is divided into a smaller group based on the specialized functional area. That is important. That means functional structure is a type of structure where whole organization is divided on the basis of specialization or on the basis of specialized area. Like if the organization is divided on the basis of, or the departmentation is being divided on the basis of marketing, HR, finance. So what is that? That's a functional structure of an organization. The functional structure is the most commonly used and work best for small businesses and for large organizations that produce high volume of product at low cost. That means we can say that this kind of organization is majorly is basically popular type of organization, because every organization either small or the large divides on the basis of functional structure. But one specification is very important to build up organization like functional structure, is that if there is the same kind of product is going to make by a person or by an organization, so obviously this functional structure is suitable. But if there is a large segment is there, or we can say that organization produces or deal with the large segment or different segment of product, so obviously this functional structure will not be suitable. Then they have to go with the different structure. So where it is, this kind of structure is basically useful for the organization who is smaller in size, or we can say if they are large in size, so they have to produce one or two variant of products with the large scale. So there this kind of functional structure will be more suitable. And if I talk about the diagram, so this kind of structure will be made, this functional structure. In functional structure, CEO, here you can see that departmentation is or departments are divided on the basis of specialized area, like marketing, sales, services. So these are the different areas. Divisional structure of an organization. Divisional structure of an organization is the organization where whole organization is divided on the basis of product or on the basis of we can say geographical areas. So if organization divides, or if there is a departments on the basis of product or on the basis of geographical area, like if suppose if one entity, if one organization is having a different branch in different area, so that kind of structure is known as divisional structure, where because and all the different branches will have a different manager, right, who zonal, we can say that the zonal manager or the branch manager. So this kind of position exists in the organization, so that organization is known as divisional structure. So divisional structure divides the functional area of the organization. Each one of them is equipped with its own resources to function independently. Yes, if I talk about this divisional structure, here all the resources will be separated and all the entity or all the branches will work independently with their own resources. So in functional structure, resources may be we can say distributed, or we can say they can used togetherly, but in divisional structure they have to the resources would be independently. That means there is no we can say that they cannot use resources togetherly. Why? Because whole organization is divided on the basis of geographical area, and they are not physically present in one location. Typically, divisions can be based on the geographical basis or the product or the service basis. Like if a whole organization is divided on the basis of geographical area or product or services basis, so we can call it divisional structure of an organization. This organization structure is typical for large companies that operate in different geographic areas or have separate smaller organizations to cover different types of product or market areas. This kind of organization is basically found in large type of organization, where the one entity has a number of branches in different geographical area. There, this kind of structure is most suitable. It can be costly because of its size and scope. This style also risks duplicating activities and can be subject to miscommunication. As organization is large in nature, as organization is spread out in a whole country, so obviously there might be a chances of having this miscommunication and the duplication of activity. And yes, it is costly. Why? Because obviously the size of the organization is large in nature. This kind of hierarchy can be made in divisional structure of the organization. Here you can see this hierarchy. Here whole organization is divided on the basis of product X, product Y and product Z. So this kind of organization is known as divisional structure. And if the organization made on the basis of different geographical area, like different countries are having their different, not different countries, or we can say that if the organization deals multinationally, right? So in this way we can say that divisional structure would be there. So in this way here, like if organizations divided on the basis of country, like US division, European division and Asian divisions, so obviously we can say that that is a divisional structure. Last one is metric structure of an organization. The metric structure is a combination of the divisional and functional structure. It is the combination of both functional and divisional. That means when both the it is more complex, it is more complicated than rest of the structures, because it is the combination of both functional and divisional. Employees can be a part of functional group and also serve on a team that supports new product development. So in this kind of organization, there is a each work, or we can say it might be possible that each person will have two bosses, one from the specialized head, or one from that particular product head, we can say. So there might be possibility that the employees, like in metric structure, that's why we call it, this metric structure is a temporary type of structure, where both the structure will be made at one time of period. Employees can be part of functional group. That means employees can be a part of functional group, and at the same time they can work on new project. So if this kind of scenario exists in the organization, so we can call it that metric structure is developed in the organization. Individuals are responsible both to their line manager and the project manager involved. Yes, we can say that here one person will have a two boss, like if in this type of structure. Why? Because they have to deal with both the thing. That means they have to work with the functional group, like both are responsible for line manager, like functional group, and at the same time if they are involved in some other project along with the group, so obviously he has to report that particular project manager as well. So here we can say that this is the disadvantage, that there is no unity of command. That means one person will have a two boss at one particular time period. That's why it is complicated in nature, but it is for the short term period. Once the project is over, then obviously that individual has to command to a one person, that is his immediate boss. The main disadvantage of this type of organization is that it can create power struggles, because most areas of the company will have a dual management. As we know that one person can have a two bosses, so obviously there is a dual management. There might be a chances of conflict, or there might be a chances in the mind of employee's mind, that which task is important for him, that or whose guidance is important for him. So this kind of confusion can be created in matrix types of structure. So this kind of this is the diagram which is a part of matrix structure. Like here CEO, and here this organization is divided on the basis of different functional area, and at the same time this is also divided on the basis of product, right? So functional and divisional both are involved in matrix types of structure. Next topic is decentralization of authority. Decentralization is the systematic effort to delegate to the lowest level of authority except that which can be exercised at central points. Decentralization of authority is a process where senior person allocates responsibility to the lower level of people. So this kind of process is known as decentralization of authority. Decentralization is actually an extension of the concept of delegation. Like earlier in the organization, delegation will be done by the top level people or higher authority to the lower level people or to the middle level people, right? But for the certain period of time. But decentralization of authority is something where permanent departmentation is basically they make in the organization, and permanent authority is given by the higher authority to the staff officers or to the head of the departments, so that they can work accordingly and according to their specialized skills, right? So that's why we say that this decentralization is a extension of concept of delegation. Decentralization is referred to as a form of an organizational structure where there is the delegation of authority by the top management to the middle level and the lower level management in the organization. As you know, and as I told you that yes, this is the delegation of authority, or decentralization is the decentralization of authority is the extension of delegation of authority, where authority flows from top to middle and lower level management. Delegation refers to the assigning a portion of work and the associated responsibility by a superior to subordinate. If I talk about the delegation meaning, so delegation is what? Where top level manager or the higher authority assign or delegate the work to the portion of work to the middle level and lower level people, right? So this is called delegation. If I talk about that why decentralization is important in the organization, like as we know that earlier organization was based on the basis of centralization, right? But nowadays as competition is there in the market, so obviously we need specialized people, we need and workload is getting increased. So on the basis of that, on the basis of current scenario, by seeing this current scenario, this decentralization of authority is very important in today's world, so that responsibility or the portion of work will be divided or allocated to the different departments, and different departments or specialized people will done their work efficiently and effectively. If I talk about decentralization, why decentralization is important? Decentralization is important for rapid decision making. As we know that organization is divided on the basis of different specialized area, or we can say that departmentation is made in the organization, right? So we can say that if there is a people, that means if whole work is divided and allotted to the different people, so obviously the decision making will be done rapidly by the people. Why? Because division of work is there, because whole work is divided and allocated to the different people, so obviously decision making would be fast. Why? Because there is no single person who is responsible for everything. Now the responsibility and the work is divided into the certain people. So yes, so we can say that decision making would be prompt in decentralization of authority. Next one is administrative development. Yes, if I talk about as we know, like if in the decentralization of authority, top higher authority allocate the or delegate the work to the head of the departments, right? So in this case this head of the department will also get the administrative skills in the organization, right? So that means they will also learn, they will also get the opportunity to learn that how to manage the whole organization, right? Or we can say the small portion of organization. So obviously if there is a decentralization of authority, the administrative development would be there. That means the things will be managed properly, and people will also have or the head of the department will also get the executive skills by maintaining whole department properly. Development of executive skills, like here we can say that administrative development means that all the things will be manageable, or all the things will manage easily. Why? Because there is a decentralization. Why? Because there is a division of work. There is no one single person who is responsible for everything. There is a certain people, or there is a different departments who are responsible for their own work, right? So obviously administration will be effective in decentralization, and once you allot the authority or the responsibility to the head of the departments or to the staff officer, so obviously we can say that there is a the head of the officers will get the will have a better executive skills. Why? Because they will get the opportunity to manage the whole department as their own skills and as their own wishes, right? So obviously executive skills will also develop of every head of the departments. Next one is promotes growth. Yes, obviously if specialized people are managing their work properly, so obviously growth is confirmed in the organization. Next one is higher control. Like higher control in what sense? Why? Because there is a direct communication between head of the department and their subordinates. And that means like head of the department or the staff officer directly communicate and interact with their group members. So obviously there would be a higher control. Advantages of decentralization. If I talk about advantages, number one is reduces the burden of top executives. Yes, because there is in decentralization, authorities and responsibilities are divided into the certain department. So obviously the burden will be reduced from top executives. Next is facilitate diversification. Yes, we can say that if the work is divided properly to the certain departments, so obviously they can think of some diversification, they can think of some innovation. So obviously if decentralization is there, so they can diversify their organization in a better way. Next one is executive development. Yes, if authority and responsibility is putting on the head of departments or on the head of staff officers, so obviously the executives will be developed because they will get the scope or the opportunity to manage the whole department individually. It promotes motivation. Yes, if the staff officers or the middle level people will get the opportunity to manage their own department on the basis by their own wish, so obviously automatically the encouragement will be high in them. Next one is better control and supervision, and yes, they have a opportunity to interact with their team members directly, so obviously the control would be better and the supervision would be better. If I talk about disadvantage, there are two disadvantages of decentralization. Number one is uniform policy is not followed, as work is divided into the departments, so different departments may have their own policies, so obviously the uniformity may be compromised through this decentralization of authority. Next one is problem in coordination. As every department will have their own rules, the specific rules, so obviously the coordination problem can be arised in decentralization. Why? Because every department will have their own priority. So there might be possibility that they in certain point of time they may not agree with each other's decision. So obviously the coordination problem in coordination can be possible in decentralization. So this is the lecture which I've explained you today. So like we can revise one more time that what are the topics we have covered in today's lecture. Like start with the types of organization structure. So we have type organization structure we have read. Like what is organization structure? Organization structure is what? It is the framework of whole organization which clarifies the roles, the responsibilities, the authorities, the flow of information in the organization, right? So organization structure is what? It is the hierarchy. It is the hierarchical framework of organization. If I talk about why organization is important, because it clarifies the authority and responsibility in the mind of employees, so the transparency will get will be created in the organization, and it also avoids the overlapping and duplication of efforts in the organization. So these are the importance of organization structure which we have discussed in today's class. After that, we have discussed this type of organization structure. Type of organization is divided into three parts: functional, divisional and matrix, right? If I talk about functional structure, that means where whole organization is divided on the basis of specialized area or specialized area, or we can say specialization, right? Like marketing, HR, finance, production. So if organization is divided on the basis of HR, finance, marketing, so what is that? That's a functional structure. That means similar type of activity will be done at one particular department. Next one is divisional structure. Divisional structure means where whole organization is divided on the basis of geographical area or product or services. That means if I talk about suppose one organization, and if suppose the particular organization is dealing with the different segments or different type of product, and that particular product he sell, that organization sell in one particular branch or in one particular geographical area. So that whole organization structure will be called as divisional structure. So this is the diagram which I have shown you before also. Next one is matrix. Matrix is a complex type of structure. It is a temporary type of structure where there might be a chances where it is the combination of both functional and divisional, right? So there might be a chances of having this matrix structure of an organization at one particular time period, right? It is basically done when there is a new product or when there is a new project is created for the organization, where both divisional people and the functional people has to work combinedly, and where their employees will have two bosses at one particular time of period, right? So matrix structure, so that's why we call it that it is temporary. Why we call it temporary? Because this kind of structure is made till the project has not finishes. Once the project is finishes, so obviously the matrix structure will be divided, or will be matrix structure will be converted into the functional and divisional. This is the diagram of this matrix. If I talk about this decentralization of authority, yes, we have discussed this decentralization of authority, where whole the organization divides on the into the departments, and where the whole work is allocated to the different departments or to the certain group of people. So that process is known as what? Decentralization of authority. Like we have also discussed the importance of decentralization, that why decentralization important in today's world, so that specialization would be exist in the organization, better prompt decision making would be there, higher control would be there, or we can say that growth of the organization will also promote in the organization. So this kind of importance is there. That's why decentralization is important in today's world for the organization. Advantage also we have discussed, disadvantage also we have discussed.